All right, so let's jump into number 1. Read the whole problem before doing anything else. All right, we did that. Okay, small win to start. And to step 2, which is find the givens. So which part or parts of this sound like given? What about the truck rental is $25 plus 30 cents per mile? That's a given, right? Find out how many miles. Sounds like more unknown than given. What about his bill was $50.20? Okay, so let's number these 1 and 2. We have 2 pieces of given information to hopefully help us later on in the problem. All right, another small win. Check it off. Next. Identify the unknowns, rather. I think we found that already, right? Often the unknowns will be given in the form of a question. So how many miles Kevin traveled, or find out how many miles Kevin traveled, right? So now we know what we're looking for. Third small win. Okay, write a let statement. Define a variable to represent your unknown. And start with let. What are we looking for? How many miles, right? So how about m for miles? M equals miles. Kevin traveled. All right, that's all there is to step 4, is creating a variable to represent the unknown quantity that we're looking for. All right, so here's the big one. Step 5, write an equation that uses your variable from step 4 and your givens. So let's try to put everything together into an equation. How can we make an equation here? So we can try to use our given information. So given 1 is truck rental is $25 plus 30 cents per mile. And then we also have his bill was $50.20. It sounds like both of these are giving us different ways of saying the total, right? So the first one, if we write it as a mathematical expression, that's 25 plus, what is 30 cents per mile? What would that come out to be if it were a total dollar amount? It would be 30 cents times the number of miles, right? Would give us what it costs to travel those miles. But what is miles? We don't know yet, but we're calling it M, right? So the total is going to be 25 plus 0.30 M, right? So we used given number 1, but we still have given number 2. If his bill was $50.20, that also sounds like a total, right? So if we have 2 ways of writing the total, we can set them equal to each other, right? Because that's what an equation really is just stating that 2 quantities are equal to each other on the left and the right hand side. And this is an equation. So we have a super big win on step 5 here. We now have an equation, and I think that you may know how to solve this with your experience so far. So what is our objective in an equation? It's to get the variable by itself, right? So we might want to start by getting this 25 out of there. Try to get this m part by itself. So this is a 25. So to get that out of there, 25 is like positive 25 or plus 25, right? So the opposite of that is minus 25. So that will help us to cancel these out, right? But what we do to one side, we have to do to the other. Oops, let's not do that because that looks like a divided by, which is confusing. Let's put the line down here like a subtraction problem, and to be even better, let's line up our decimals correctly. So this is really 25.00, right? Okay, and what does that become? 2, 0 minus 0 is 0. Borrow 5. All right, 2520 is what we have here after we subtract. Okay, we got to bring down the remaining part of the left-hand side here. Okay, what is this next step? What is this meaning in like plus minus divided by? This is really a times problem, right? Multiplication problem, 0.3 times m. So what's the opposite of multiplication? In other words, what do we do to cancel that out and get m by itself? We divide by 0.30, right? And we have to do that to both sides, always. Have to do the same thing to both sides. It's like a scale, a balance, right? We start out equal, and whatever we do, we have to do to both sides to make sure it stays equal. Okay. So multiplication and division cancel out, become 1. 0.3 divided by 0.3 is just 1, in other words. So 1m is the same thing as m. And I think this is 84. If you want to practice your long division skills, be my guest, but for the sake of keeping this short, focusing on the algebra, I'm going to use my calculator. Yep. So that did come out to 84. And what do you know? We actually skipped ahead. We actually, surprise, solved the equation. 6 small wins. We're almost to a really big win now. 6 out of 8 the way there. Okay, check. So, pro tip on an exam, make sure to try to complete all the problems first, but if you have time at the end, you might want to do step 7, check your answer, go back through the test if you have plenty of time at the end, and check through, which is the step we're about to do. Because even for someone who's very proficient at mathematics, such as myself, I often find mistakes in my math tests, and I'm able to correct those mistakes and get a higher score because I checked my answer. Same goes for homework. You can feel more confident in that you're getting the right answer. And in the real world, if you're trying to solve a real world problem, you can go back and look and see if your answer makes sense, and that can involve checking your answer, which often involves taking your original equation, which I'll rewrite here, and plugging back in your answer. This is fun. So what was it? The original one was $50 equals $50.20, right? Let's cover it up here a little bit because we did a subtraction problem, but it was this here, right? So we figured out that m was equal to 84. So If this is 84 and this is an equation, both sides should come out to be equal, right? If they are, we know we got the right answer. Okay, let's do that. 25 plus 0.3 times, same thing as 0.30, right? Is that, for check, let's do a question mark. Is that equal to 50.20? $50.20? In other words, if we travel 84 miles and it costs 30 cents each, plus the flat $25, is that really our 50.20? So to save some time, I'm going to put in the calculator this 0.3 times 84 part. Feel free to practice your multiplication if you wish. They're doing some fun things with the writing here. So is 25 plus 25.2, or $25.20, is that equal to 50.20? It sure is. This check is relatively simple. There might be some more complicated problems on your tests in the future where this will really help. But yeah, checks out. And I think we have another big win here. So back to the theme of keeping in mind what's good for homework and exams to show to your teacher. But also, if this were a real world problem, m equals 84, what does that mean, right? It's good practice to translate that into real world meaning. So maybe you write a conclusion in English, and what your teacher accepts may vary. You might be okay with this, but I think it doesn't hurt to write a real world conclusion. So what does this mean? This means Kevin traveled 84 miles. And you could even say in the truck if you want. That's kind of a bonus. Good. So now our answer makes real world sense. All right, that about wraps it up. And if you found value in this video, give it a like and a share, and share it with someone else who might need a little math help. If you're not subscribed yet, go ahead and hit that button so you won't miss out on future walkthroughs like this. You'll also find links in the description if you'd like to support the channel. Totally optional, but obviously always appreciated. And I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye-bye.